Pretty crazy to think that a Week 2 game is a must-win, but Sunday's clash against Dallas, well, essentially it is. Not only would the Eagles already fall 2 games behind in the division, but only 12% of teams who start 0-2 go on to make the playoffs. It's a big-time showdown in the Big P. Mike Owens is here. I'm Adrian Fedke. Huge ramifications in this one. Let's talk about it. Mike, how's it going?
Well, it's pretty crazy that we're sitting here and talking about an Eagles-Cowboys game in Week 2 of the season. Doesn't happen very often. And a home opener for the Eagles against the Cowboys, well, that never happens.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. We see them twice in the first, 8 weeks of the season. We usually see them late in the year. So the NFC East is going to be, pretty much, well, we'll see if it's decided pretty much early on. We'll see what happens with these teams. But, I mean, it's crazy. 2 games right away.
Yeah, really weird considering that we usually end up playing Dallas at least once late in the season, usually the second to the last game or the last game of the year. So to have, these 2 games with Dallas so early, I mean, we really got to get our hatred out for Dallas really early on in the season this year.
Yeah, man. A lot of storylines heading into this one. A bunch of the Cowboys' top dogs will not play. Des Bryant, Greg Hardy, Randy Gregory, Rolando McClain. But the juiciest storyline heading into Sunday will be DeMarco Murray, who will suit up against his former team for the first time. So let's talk about him. 8 carries for just 9 yards in the opener. A lot of Dallas fans, making fun of the signing already. Oh, we overspent for him, blah, 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 blah. Well, we'll see what happens Sunday.
Well, DeMarco he's apparently emotionless about this game with the Cowboys. That's what he said at his press conference the other day. So DeMarco is a very businesslike type of a player. So, I expect DeMarco to come out on Sunday afternoon and, put up with a performance. Well, hopefully he gets the carries to do that. We hardly saw him on Monday night against the Falcons, and that really surprised me.
Yeah, I didn't like the way they utilized him. The game plan was to, go east-west along the boundary with the sweep play. Chip wanted to tire out Atlanta's defense. But this isn't really what DeMarco's known for. He's a one-cut downhill runner. He's powerful. He's north-south. But he wasn't going north on Monday night. It was east, west, and south. Nothing north.
Yeah, they're going to have to start off the game better on Sunday because on Monday they didn't get off to a good start. We can't stress this enough. The biggest play in Chip Kelly's system is first down on every series. Well, why did the Eagles struggle in the first half against the Falcons? I mean, it's quite simple. They could not gain positive yards on first down on every one of their series, and it just wound up killing them. And that really hurt them from their ability to be able to run the football, and they got behind by so much that in the second half, all they could do is pass and, not even pass the ball deep, just do little short passes that get down the field. Didn't have the ability to use the running game like they wanted to.
Yeah, completely agree. The first 4 possessions, we tried the little swing pass to Murray on the first drive. It goes for 2 yards and nothing there. Either the second or third drive, they try to do the sweep play with Murray, and Schofield reads it immediately, and it's like a loss of 12. So, the reason why Chip didn't like McCoy, like you were saying, I mean, can't stress it enough. We've been saying this for a really long time. The first play of every series is the most imperative play of Chip Kelly's offense because you get positive yards here in a 2nd and 5. Obviously it's a lot easier to pick up the first down, but once you pick up that first down, that's when, the drive, the rhythm, it gets set and you can just march down the field. But on Monday night, first 4 or 5 drives, just nothing positive on first down, and that's basically what led to the Eagles' downfall and why they had to try and storm back at the end.
We've always been a fan of Chip Kelly. We love to, take a sip of his smoothies. We're gonna pretend this is a smoothie. So on Monday night in the first half, we took a sip of the smoothie and oh wow, nah, they were bad smoothies. Something happened there in Atlanta. I don't know if they were putting some poison in the smoothie before the game because it was not working out for Chip Kelly. The play calling was not good. Even the first play of the game for the Eagles, you talked about that, swing pass out to Murray in the flat. I didn't like that at all. I mean, he only got 2 yards. I would have really liked them to just, pound the ball, north and south there with Murray like we were talking about.
Yeah, man. I mean, you hit it on the head. Georgia's known as the Peach State, and a lot of peach smoothies were around the Georgia Dome, and unfortunately, the peaches were rotten. They weren't good. They were spoiled and just didn't taste really good. So hopefully, we're back in Philadelphia. I don't know what they're going to put in the smoothies. Maybe some apples, some bananas, some strawberries, and hopefully the nutrients will be flowing in the system. So let's talk about Murray a little bit further. Obviously last year led the NFL in rushing, had a lot of carries, 80 more than any other player in the league. Ran the ball 392 times last year. Averaged 4.7 yards per carry behind that Dallas offensive line. So, what we want to see is the one-cut downhill running that we saw in the preseason. We want to run the ball down their throats. 52 passes, 16 runs in the opener. I mean, while I can understand, what they did with that, it's like the Bill Belichick kind of theory. Each week he does something different. He tries to exploit the weaknesses of the defense, and obviously the weakness last year for Atlanta was lack of pass rush and secondary play. So they were trying to capitalize on the poor secondary play. Obviously, you also had to store back in the end, so you had to throw the ball a little bit more. So we'll see if they can run the ball a little bit more on Sunday. You got to utilize Matthews and Murray a lot more than you did on Monday. And I want to see them run it up the gut. I don't care how bad the guard play was on Monday night. Pound it down their throats.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree. And if there was a positive to take out a Monday night with Murray, is that even though his touches were limited, he did get into the end zone twice. So, that's a positive sign. It shows that, hopefully with Murray, Matthews, and Sproles, they can really help out with the red zone problems.
Yeah, absolutely. They did look better in the red zone, I thought, with Bradford at quarterback and the running backs that they have. We were talking about this pre-show. This game was a lot like the Colts game last year, except the Eagles, this time, they couldn't steal the win. They got outplayed by Indianapolis week 2, Monday Night Football last season. And at the end, Parkey hits the field goal. They win it. In this game, unfortunately, Parkey couldn't hit the field goal. We lose the game. And, that's just how the NFL is sometimes. It was a false win in week 2 last year. But this year, we lost the game.
Yeah, exactly right. And then you even go back, you go back to the season opener last year, and we got lucky that we played the Jaguars. Jaguars got out to a big lead there in the first half there. We ended up coming back in the second half. But we were not playing the Jaguars this year. We were playing the Falcons, a much better football team, and they were able to hold off our charge there in the second half. So, with that being said, people just need to relax because it's week 1 of the NFL season. A lot happened. The Rams beat the Seahawks. The Colts looked horrible. Peyton Manning did not look good, even though they won the game against the Ravens. So week 1 is, overreaction week. So time to move on.
Yeah, exactly. And you really can't start taking the season seriously until like week 6. So, people are already overreacting. We got some people that think that the Nick Foles for Sam Bradford trade is already in the Rams' favor. I mean, come on, guys. Come on. Relax. It's 1 week into the season. So, all right, let's move on. Let's talk about the Cowboys' rushing attack. Obviously, they got that great offensive line there in Dallas. Joseph Randle, week 1, averages 4.1 yards a carry. Murray last year averaged 4.7 yards a carry. And in the Giants game, overall, Randle, 16 rushes for 65 yards, 2.06 yards after contact. Murray last year, 2.54 yards after contact. So there is a difference. And the point is, I don't want people to undersell the running back position. Just because Dallas has a great offensive line, it doesn't mean that their running game is going to be elite, great, so to speak.
Yeah, well, that's where, Dallas is really going to miss DeMarco Murray. You saw it in the first week there. You could tell that Randall, Dunbar, and, McFadden, they really don't have the ability to escape tackles and get those extra yards like Murray can. So I think that's really, the biggest difference there with what they're trying to do with their three-headed monster, trying to make up for the loss of Murray.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up because back in 1993, Emmitt Smith was trying to get more money from the Cowboys, and they were without him the first 2 weeks. Great offensive line back then too, man. I mean, a lot of great guys. You got Sanowski, you got Nate Newton, Kevin Gogan. I mean, these guys were good. Eric Williams, Mark Tuinei. These guys were great. And, it could be better than what Dallas has right now. So the first 2 weeks, they had a guy by the name of Derek Lasik that started for them. And in these 2 games, he averaged 3.6 yards per carry. Dallas lost both games. Lost to Washington, and they lost to Buffalo. When Emmitt Smith came back, in the 14 games he played, ran for 1,486 yards, 5.3 yards per carry. So that's a 1.7 difference. Again, we don't want to undersell the running back position. As we can see, the running back makes a difference. And the Cowboys went on. They won 12 out of the last 14 games, won another Super Bowl. And Emmitt Smith, obviously, he's a lot better than DeMarco Murray. But I think you get the point of, my little rant there.
Yeah, those are some great numbers there. And, well, the Cowboys, they decided that in the offseason they were going to have to let Murray walk and they were going to keep Dez Bryant. Well, right now, it's kind of backfiring on them in a way because they figured that if they had Dez Bryant, a star wide receiver, they could get away with their great offensive line and the three-headed running back system that they have in place. Well, now with Dez Bryant injured and likely out for an extended period of time here after getting surgery, we're really going to see, first off, what Romo is made of, and also we're going to get to see how this, three-headed running back system is really going to work on Dallas because now there's going to be more pressure on those running backs than there was before.
I'll say this about Romo. I always poke fun at him, bring up Romophobia and all that stuff. But I'll tell you what, man, the last 2 or 3 years or so, I hate to say it, but this man's gotten clutch. It's kind of like what happened with LeBron James. LeBron James, his first, 8-10 years in the league, anytime the final minute came, he always caved in under the pressure. Well, now LeBron James, you give him the ball in the last 10 seconds of a game, he's going to hit the game-winning shot. Romo, the last two years, we saw it in week 1 against the Giants, led his team down the field. We saw it against Detroit in the wild card playoff game. He's a lot more clutch than he used to be, and I freaking hate it.
I agree with you. It's definitely annoying to see him be so clutch, but you do got to give it to Romo. He's a guy that when it comes down to that time to lead his team on a game-winning drive, if it's not December, he usually gets it done.
Well, 4-0 in December last year, so yeah, screw that guy. All right, let's talk about their wide receivers now, because without Des Bryant, we'll see who's going to be the big weapon on Sunday. Terrence Williams is always hit or miss. I do like Cole Beasley a lot. Very shifty. He's gonna catch a lot of stuff like underneath, little screen passes, and he's going to be good after the catch. Very elusive. I believe Devin Street's going to be their other outside guy. Maybe they utilize Gavin Escobar more. I do like Lance Dunbar a little bit. He's kind of like a little. Well, I'm saying mini Sproles, but Sproles is already so mini, so maybe a larger Sproles. I don't know, but I like him as well.
Yeah, I think with Des Bryant out, you're really going to see the Cowboys utilize both their tight ends and Jason Witten and Escobar. Obviously, Witten is a guy who we know a bit too well because he always comes in here and kills us. So we're going to have to, watch out for him. So, yeah, really expect the Cowboys to utilize their tight ends a lot, especially in the red zone.
Yeah, completely agree. Last season, the second game that Philly played Dallas, Des Bryant was absolutely exceptional. 6 catches, 114 yards, roasting Bradley Fletcher, 3 touchdowns. Bradley held his own in the Thanksgiving Day game, but not in the second game. So this is going to be I don't know how many points this would cost the Cowboys. I mean, maybe you get in the red zone and instead of scoring a touchdown, you settle for 3. Maybe this happens once. Maybe this happens twice. So I guess he's going to cost them about 4 to 10 points in between that range, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably a good guess. The loss of Des Bryant, it helps us out because, judging by our performance by Maxwell in week 1 against Julio Jones, I'm not quite sure that Maxwell was ready for another star receiver to line up against him.
Yeah, I mean, Maxwell wasn't great on Monday night. That's an understatement. I said this stat on the recap. I'll say it again. Maxwell targeted 11 times, gave up 10 catches for 179 yards in his time in Philadelphia. Bradley Fletcher never gave up more than 8 catches or 168 yards. So obviously not a great debut for Maxwell. And this is the question I want to pose to you. Is it the cornerback play that's wrong, or is it the scheme of Billy Davis? What do you think? Because all these quarterbacks year after year, they're just getting burned.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to start to think that it's something to do with the scheme. All the players that come through here with such high expectations. You look at Asamoah, you look at, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, even, a guy like Bradley Fletcher showed signs in his first year with the Eagles, but last year didn't look good at all. And, now we're talking about Byron Maxwell. Now, we talked in the pre-show before the Falcons game that, people should expect Maxwell to, struggle a little bit in that Falcons game. But I sure didn't expect Maxwell to get burnt like he did.
Yeah, it's funny that I say this about Fletcher because I know he gets like this terrible, terrible rap. And it's not like he's good or anything, but before he came to Philadelphia, he was not a bad cornerback with the Rams. And then he comes to Philly, has one solid season, and last year just things came apart. But I'll tell you what, week 1 against the Steelers, Bradley Fletcher had himself a pretty good game. And not saying that he's good or anything, but, what it does make me wonder a little bit. Is it the scheme?
Yeah, well, you talk about Fletcher, and then I forgot to bring up a guy like Kerry Williams, who, well, what did he do in week 1? Ironically, it was Kerry Williams sacking Nick Foles and recovering the fumble and taking it in for a touchdown.
Yeah, and the coverage that the Eagles like to play a lot is the cover 1 robber. And the cover 1 robber, you basically have a single high that plays really, really deep middle of the field, and then so you only have one safety, and the way to attack this coverage is to attack the sideline, so the safety can't get there in time. And we've seen this countless times against Philly the last 2 years. We've seen it with Jordy Nelson on the go routes. We've seen Julio Jones last week in the fourth quarter. His only catch was that 44-yard go route reception down the sideline. We saw Des Bryant score 3 touchdowns last year. Same thing. So these big-time receivers are repeatedly beating this coverage the same way each and every time. Yet Billy Davis continues to do the same damn thing. And that's the part that's concerning to me is it's broke and it ain't getting fixed.
Well, Billy Davis was a guy that we were a little bit concerned about when Chip Kelly, named him the defensive coordinator. And for the first 2 years here, Billy Davis has, been able to skate around without any interruptions. But now we're getting into the third year here. He really should have a quality system in place. And he's going to have to figure out a way to improve this thing because week 1 was not a good indication.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how Dallas approaches the passing game because Atlanta used a lot of max protection, and obviously with max protection, you're using less receivers in the routes. But when you have Julio Jones as one of your wide receivers, he's consistently going to beat your opposing cornerback. But Dallas obviously has a much, 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 much better offensive line, although it's a lot better run blocking than it is pass blocking. I believe they were like 9th in the league last year in pass protection. I don't know the number. That's what I'm thinking off the top of my head. But so it'll be interesting to see, when they do pass the ball, what they're going to do because you got Terrence Williams and Cole Beasley and Devin Street. These guys aren't Roddy White and Julio Jones.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So, hopefully Billy Davis, hopefully he has a game plan for this one because his game plan against Julio Jones, well, it didn't work out too well.
No, not at all. Oh, boy. It pisses me off, though, because they continually play star receivers, one-on-one. And I see Dallas last week, and they're double-teaming Odell Beckham. Beckham's not doing too much, and I'm just like, well, Billy Davis, are you watching this? Do you watch the NFL? Do you watch other teams and how they attack star receivers? And we're just like leaving these guys on an island. Jordy Nelson goes 80 yards down the field, touchdown. Des Bryant, 3 touchdowns. Still leaving Bradley Fletcher on an island. I mean these cornerbacks. God damn, man, the skin cancer all the way around. It sucks. Byron Maxwell was getting burned last week, and I didn't think it would be possible. You're playing on Monday night, so the sun's not even out, and you're in a dome, and he's still getting burned.
It's a miracle. I don't know how that happened. That's crazy. But the thing that worries you about Billy Davis is that you go back last year at Washington towards the end of the season, and that was kind of the boiling point. Everybody had seen enough of Bradley Fletcher. Someone who doesn't know a lick about football could have told you that they needed to make a switch and get Bradley Fletcher out of the game. But he continued to let Fletcher get burned by Deshaun Jackson. And heading into this season, that's what we have to be concerned about. How long it takes before before Billy Davis decides that he needs to make some type of switch in the secondary.
Oh, Billy. And I'll tell you what, there's not a lot of options. Eric Rowe didn't see a snap. E.J. Biggers played 1 snap, I believe. So who's going to be out there that can play? Nobody. If Nolan Carroll, he's not that good either. So Byron and Carroll, and there's nobody else. Corey Shepard's hurt. I mean, Rowe he played 1 year at cornerback at Utah. He just doesn't look ready right now, obviously. So what are they going to do?
Yeah, well, we kind of talked a bit about this before the show. Something that they should have considered in the offseason and during training camp is possibly putting Rowe at safety, having him learn that spot, and you have Walter Thurman move into the slot, which he's played before, and then you would have Carroll and Maxwell on the outside.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the thing with that is, obviously at this point, you're not going to move Rowe to safety because he's a rookie, and to expect him to learn the position so quickly, it's not going to happen. So forget about that. So you're stuck with what you got. And I'll tell you what, though, Thurman, although he did miss the tackle on the touchdown, he was very impressive in his debut as a safety.
Yeah, I mean, both the safeties, I thought that Thurman and Malcolm Jenkins both had really good games. So safety is it seems like that's not going to be a cause for concern. It's going to be those cornerback spots.
Yeah, Jenkins just needs to figure out how to catch the ball. That's it.
Yeah, the guy could have had 2 interceptions.
Yep. Could have won the game. Never know. So moving on to a different subject. You touched up on this a little bit earlier, and how Billy Davis didn't really bring the blitz until the second half. Came in with a terrible game plan in the first half. Generated no pressure whatsoever against a mediocre at best offensive line. Ryan was getting all day to throw. So, but things got a little bit better in the second half. Blitz came, and the Falcons didn't do as well, obviously, against defense. Scored only 6 points. So we'll see what happens on Sunday with Romo. I believe they sacked him 4 times in each game last year. So, again, talking about how the Dallas's offensive line and pass protection, it's not invincible.
Yeah, well, if I was Billy Davis this week, what I would do is, I would go up to the chalkboard and I would write in big, bold, capital letters, bring the pressure, because that's what they're going to have to do this week. Bring the pressure against Romo. A great example of this is that Thanksgiving game last year. Eagles did an outstanding job of getting pressure on Romo, and he did have an injury at the time, but us getting pressure on him caused him to make mistakes and for us to be able to get sacks. So that is really going to be crucial in this game.
Yeah, absolutely agree. We'll see, what they do, whether they want to bring the cornerback blitz with Carroll. That worked last game. Maybe you bring Kendricks in more. Obviously he times his blitzes really well. Really, really good blitzer. So we'll see what they do. But I would imagine that they're going to bring a hell of a lot more pressure this Sunday than it did on Monday. Monday was just inexcusable. The entire game plan, awful.
Yeah, first half, I felt like we were just, sitting back and watching the Matt Ryan and Julio Jones show.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on to Sam Bradford now. All right, try to remember off the top of my head. Was he 36 of 52? Was that what it was?
Something close. I think maybe 52 or 56, somewhere similar to that.
Yeah, I knew he threw the ball 52 times. I do know that he was 21 of 25 in the second half. Second half, a lot of, basically just taking what the defense gave him. A lot of hitches, crossing routes, utilized Sproles. Yeah, you had him on the wheel route a lot of times. I believe Bradford only threw only 4 passes over 9 yards. So that just kind of shows right there. Atlanta was taking away the deep ball. So you couldn't throw the deep ball because Atlanta wasn't giving it to you. So that's the reason why we saw the check down Sam on Monday night.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and you really can't gauge much off of the game for Bradford. He did a nice. I mean, what we did see is that he is pretty accurate. I mean, he had the one bad interception, but besides that, especially the second half, he really got into a rhythm. And that's what I think is going to be key going forward here for the rest of the season. Eagles got to get Bradford into a rhythm. And I feel if they can get him into a rhythm, then the offense will move, just fine.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Also, can't take as many licks this time. He was actually only pressured 11 times, but the number's deceiving because obviously when you're throwing these little hitches and little crossing routes, uh, 11 is actually too many. First half, he was not able to set his feet. Second half, he was, the offensive line was giving him enough protection. So that's why he did a lot better in the second half, 21 of 25, like I said. So we'll see. Sunday he's got to get better protection. Those guards, Gardner and Barbary, they got to play better. They look good in the preseason, but they didn't look good on Monday.
Yeah, no, the guards, we thought we had the issue fixed, but obviously we don't. So the one guy that's going to have to, step it up. Everyone kind of thought that Barbary was he was going to be solid there at the left guard spot, but he's the one that really struggled on Monday night. Gardner didn't play that well either, but he played better than Barbary did. So, those guards are going to have to get a lot better. The thing that killed the Eagles on Monday night was the offensive holding calls. That is something that they have to iron out because these offensive holding calls negated some big plays for the Eagles.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, just the one drive immediately comes to mind. You had 4 calls on the 95-yard drive, which was very, very impressive, by the way, to go down that field and still score a touchdown despite having 4 penalties called against you. Very, very impressive. But, I mean, it eventually cost them the game because Jason Kelsey, the hold on the Matthews screen, they would have been inside the 10-yard line. So got to get that cleaned up.
Yeah, Chip even mentioned that, this week during his press conferences that is one thing that they're definitely going to have to get, cleaned up.
Yeah, and again, talking about the guards, Dallas just locked up Tyrone Crawford, and this guy's a beast. I've been kind of tooting his horn, the last couple of months. I like him a lot. I think he's a really, really good player, and he's going to be going up against Barbary. So Barbary better hold his ass against him.
Oh boy, yeah, that could be a bit scary for us.
Yeah, so hopefully, Kelsey's going to be there helping him out on little double teams, and maybe Barber or Gardner can hold his own against Nick Hayden.
Yeah, exactly right. The Eagles do catch somewhat of a break because, Randy Gregory is not going to be able to play in the game because he has that high ankle sprain that he suffered in week 1 against the Giants. So he's probably going to be out about 4 to 6 weeks. So he had a pretty solid performance in week 1. So that's another big break for the Eagles.
Yeah, so Randy Gregory, sack's not coming from Greg Hardy either because he's out. So, I mean, in a lot of ways, this might be a bigger break than Des Bryant. The fact that Sam Bradford probably is not going to see a lot of pressure. I don't think he's going to see a lot of pressure, but I said that against Atlanta, and look what happened. So we'll see.
Yeah, that was the thing that was really concerning about again, the Falcons game in week 1. I really expected our offensive and defensive lines to really dominate the Falcons' offensive and defensive lines, but it didn't turn out that way at all. Really, just the opposite happened. So our offensive line and our defensive line really need to step it up this week.
Yeah, Fletcher Cox and Benny Logan, those were the two that really stepped up, but nobody else really did. I mean, Kiko Alonso played well, but the rest of the front seven got to get better.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah, obviously. So, last subject to touch on, Cody Parkey. Are you worried about him?
Well, I'm worried about Cody Parkey if they decide to rush him out there like that. I was not a fan of that decision by Chip Kelly. I mean, he's standing over there on the sideline, debating if he wants to go for it on fourth down or if he wants to send Parkey into the game. They got their timeouts. The play clock is winding down. He finally sends Parkey out with about, 15 seconds left on the play clock, and I just had a bad feeling about it right away. And well, Parkey missed it. Not a kick that Parkey should miss, considering it's in a dome. It's less than 50 yards, but they can't rush him out on the field like that.
We were watching the game together, and we both said the same damn thing. We're like, oh, man, because he's lining up with like 10 on the play clock, and we're like, oh, my God, he's going to miss his kick. I mean, he's rushing. And that's exactly what happened. So, you got to make the kick. It's 44 yards, no excuses or anything. But Chip didn't exactly, help him out either. I agree with you. You call timeout, you reset things, you go out there, you make the kick, you play defense. And obviously, as we found out, Atlanta, they wound up punting, so they got the stop.
Yeah, Chip Kelly definitely should have used a timeout in that situation. You got to give Parkey time there to settle himself and kick that field goal. Kickers are weird guys. They're, just really weird. So you don't want to mess with their mindset. So, they're being rushed in a pressure situation like that. Now, let's not forget also that Parkey was dealing with a bit of a groin injury, during the preseason. So you throw that into the whole mix. You don't want to rush him onto the field.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Kicking is like more mental than it is physical. It's kind of like a golfer. Golfing is a very, very mental game, very stressful game. I would know. I'm pretty good at it. So is Tony Romo. But yeah, man, kickers each year it's something different. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I remember David Akers, the one year with San Francisco, he was absolutely spectacular. And then the next year, he just shit the bed, and then he gets cut. So, you never know what to expect year to year. And some of the kicks that I saw in training camp, well, at least when we were there, Parkey was missing them. He didn't have a promising training camp. So we'll see if this continues to be a problem as the season goes along. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it gets cleaned up. But, yeah, man, year to year, you never know. Mason Crosby is another example. A couple of years ago, he had a terrible season. So you just never know with these guys.
Yeah, with these kickers, sometimes they get into this a stretch where they miss a lot of kicks, and then it messes with their head. So hopefully, this week against Dallas, Parkey can make a few kicks and, get back into that right mindset.
There you go. So, all right. We pretty much position by position broke down this game. So let's get to our predictions before we go. And also, before we do make our predictions, make sure I'm going to leave this in the comments section. We're going to make our picks for this week. Week 1, Mike won. He went 11-5. I went 10-6. Jeremy went 9-7. We were all looking good until Monday night. we lost both games on Monday night. But yeah, we're going to see who can do the best each week and who will have the best overall record at the end of the regular season. So I'm going to put it in the comments section, our picks for the week, and it's also going to include our pick for this game. And well, you guys should know who we're going to take, but we'll start with Mike.
Yeah, I think that this game is going to be a lot closer than people want it to be. I really think it's going to be a nail biter. I mean, this is a divisional game. I know that the Cowboys are missing Des Bryant, and they're not going to have Gregory, but I still think it's going to be a tough one for us. I think that the Eagles will pull it out. I think that in the second half, probably, start of the fourth quarter, Eagles are going to start to pull away a little bit and gain just enough breathing room. So I got the Eagles pulling out a 30-23 game.
Okay, so very, very, very similar to my prediction. I've got 34-27. Actually, my mindset's actually the same as yours. So there you go. And I think the Cowboys lose this game because of they're not with Des Bryant. I think that's why they lose. With Des, with Dez, you have him play. Like I said before earlier, that one red zone trip that they're going to have where you can throw it up to Dez. How are they going to score? They might settle for a field goal instead, and that's going to cost you like 4 points. If you do it twice, that's 8 points. So I think Dez's injury is really, really going to come into play here. And it's not just that, they're without McLean and without Gregory and without Greg Hardy. So it's going to be difficult for them to win, although I do think this game is going to be a lot closer than people think, and it's going to piss Eagles fans off. I know it right now because I know Eagles fans, like some of them, they're really confident coming into this game. But you know what? This is Dallas and Philadelphia. These games are always close.
Yeah, no, you're right. And, last week against the Falcons, we made some pretty bold predictions. We were expecting the Eagles to blow out the Falcons. And, well, there's a reason for that. I mean, we had a whole summer of, drinking and enjoying the beach, and we weren't thinking right. We forgot what an Eagles season is like almost. We forgot that it's never easy with the Eagles. All the emotions were coming out of a typical Eagles game. So, very rarely do the Eagles, blow a team out and make you feel good about yourself. So, yeah, I would expect this to be close. But like we said, expect the Eagles to really come alive in the fourth quarter. Most of that will have to do with Eagles' up-tempo offense. Really saw it against Atlanta. I think they're going to start to tire out the Cowboys.
All right, so since we both say 7-point victory, we're probably going to blow them out like 49-12.
Well, if that happens, I think that we'll be pretty happy.
We're going to be ecstatic. We're going to be elated, kind of like Tom Brady when he fills his footballs.
Oh, boy. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so pretty much final thoughts time. Gave our picks. So what you got?
Yeah, final thoughts. Well, how about this? If anybody is, looking for the Bitter Birds on Sunday, you can find us, down at the stadium. We're going to be there tailgating, and then we'll be at Xfinity watching the game. So if you recognize us, come on over and say hi to us, and we'll have a beer together.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to buy you a beer because I'm broke right now, but maybe you can buy a beer for me. But yeah, man, if you guys notice us, let's say hi to us. Let's talk some football. Let's talk some Eagles, and yeah, I mean, would love to see some of you guys. So yeah, we're going to be Xfinity Live. We're going to enjoy a great tailgate. Unfortunately, couldn't get tickets for the game, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully, because it's Mike's birthday on Monday. Hopefully, it's a nice little early birthday present.
It better be a nice birthday present, because if they lose, boy, oh boy, it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, the next show you're going to do, there's going to be a hole in your wall.
Yes, exactly. There was almost a hole in my wall after the first week, and we almost broke a chair in the first week. So,
well, I broke the chair. But it's not because I was mad. It's because I'm too fat.
yeah.
Oh, I lean back like Fat Joe, and boom goes the dynamite.
There it went. So yeah. So hopefully we won't have to deal with any more broken chairs or any more holes in the wall.
Yeah, man. That's funny because like I was like really, really pissed off that we lost, but because it was your place, I was like trying to hold it in, but I really wanted to just bang my fist on something.
Oh yeah, me too. Believe me, we had to kind of.
Oh, I saw
you. We had to kind of keep our emotions in check, but it was, yeah, it was not pretty.
Yeah, when Parkey missed that field goal, because we were both like, oh my God, he's rushing on the field. We both knew he was going to miss it, and then when he missed it, just the emotion just came out.
Yeah,
we were bitter birds.
Yeah, very bitter, but we got the bitter taste out of our mouth, and it's already Thursday, so we got to be moving on to the Dallas.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, we were more bitter than a teenager sipping on his first beer.
Yeah, we were.
Bitter beer faces, man. Jesus.
Ugh.
All right. We're done. We're out of here. Again, if you're at Xfinity Live on Sunday, say hi to us. All right? We're out of here. Mike Owens. I'm Adrian Fedke. Go Birds, baby.
Go Birds.